The next time I decide to go down a rabbit hole, damn it, somebody stop me. Cause even Alice in Wonderland wasn't ready for this shit.
You are now listening to The Infamous Ones, a true crime podcast hosted by Kay on Spotify. A podcast aimed to uncover and share the stories behind heinous and insane acts that have been overlooked or overshadowed by mainstream media, getting justice for the voices that can't speak.
What's up, y'all? It's your girl Kay, and I am the host of The Infamous Ones, a true crime podcast. A podcast designed to focus on crimes committed in the Black community that you don't hear about in mainstream media, giving a voice to those victims that have otherwise been silenced. Hello, 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 everybody. What's up to the mob, my A1 day ones, my newbies, and all of those in between? Welcome back to the bonus episode of the Infamous Ones, a true crime podcast with me, Kay, the Texas girl in the Georgia world, y'all. Ladies, how y'all feel? Fellas, y'all doing all right? It's still Sunday, y'all, October 19th, 2025, and I am as happy as can be. I'm feeling a little tipsy because I've been sipping on this Jack, been busting my ass all week at work, literally working 18-hour days every day while my kids was gone for fall break. Felt a little weird with them being gone, but I got my broke best friends back, so I'm happy about that. Hate to admit it, but as much as I love them when they gone and they go to their daddies for a break, by like day two, I want them back. I know. I'm a horrible. I'm a marshmallow mom. I know. But outside of that, I'm feeling good, looking good, and healing more and more each day. Some days are better than others, but I still smile because I know I am weathering the storm. Amen. Now I've got a lot of things that I'm doing to keep me distracted, like these little broke best friends of mine for one. Then I got school and work, the podcast, the books, and the live show coming up, y'all. But I am happy because the infamous ones is 2 years old. In case you missed the last episode, you need to stop this one and go back to listen to that one first. Because what? I am 2 years old. Correction, the podcast is 2 years old, but y'all get what I mean. I am so happy and so excited. Y'all have no idea. I am proud of me. I'm proud of the show. I'm proud of the movement. I can't believe it's been going on for 2 years. Isn't that amazing? Like, I ain't even gonna hold y'all with the mushy stuff right now because I swear, I don't know if it's the liquor, but I feel like I'm about to cry. So let's switch gears a little bit. Now, what y'all sipping on this good Sunday evening, huh? Now, me, I was sipping on some Jack Honey for the first episode, but I'm gonna go ahead and switch it on up and do some Crown and Coke. Something simple because I need my senses about me with this crazy ass episode. Child, ooh, y'all, this one took me through there. Okay, what they say, take me through there, take me through there. It did just that. It's got so many twists and turns. It was like a sick ass fair ride about to fly off the hinges. So y'all know I ain't gonna waste no more time because we got a lot to cover. Let's get into it. Hop on in and buckle up, baby, because we got a nice little ride ahead of us, and it's gonna take a full tank of gas for this one. Tonight, we're going to take a ride back to 2013 in Norwood, Ohio. And then we're going to ride out to Muskegon, Michigan, because it's a whole lot of criminal activity going on. And we're going to need a minivan for the number of folks involved in this one. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I'm ready to ride. Y'all know what time it is. Let's get it. This week's case involves Portia Brooks, victim, Aaron Martin, surviving victim, Randall Bird, accomplice and victim, Brittany Kelsey, accomplice, Shamaria Salazar, accomplice, and the infamous murderers of the week, Jaleel Smith, Josiah Fusay, Kyrell Burns, and the infamous HNIC, Jeremy Morton, aka Jigs. All right, Marbers. So this one starts off with kind of a calming, well, if there is such a thing. And then it just gets totally fucking crazy. Okay. Now, I get what they mean by that phrase, snitches get stitches and end up in ditches, because this shit here, yeah, it was more like ending up in graveyards. Okay. So the case starts with Jeremy Morton, aka Jigs. Jeremy Darnell Morton was born in January of 1987 to Fannie Pearl Morton. Now, for a lack of better words, there's not much on his childhood, and honestly, I didn't really dig into it because the case is that extensive and there is just so many fucking layers to this, okay? But Jeremy, in his adult years, was a badass. He was a kingpin, or whatever you want to call it. Well, self proclaimed kingpin. Everybody in the neighborhood knew him as Jigs. Now, if y'all remember, I said that this story was in both Muskegon, Michigan, as well as Cincinnati, Ohio. So Jigs has pretty much lived in a lot of places, state funded or not. When I was looking at his background, I saw not only did he reside in Michigan, but homie spent time in Colorado, Atlanta, Georgia, even North Carolina. So with what he was involved in, it kind of made sense. Now, like I said, I didn't do much investigation into his background, but Jiggs was kind of like a major drug dealer back in the day, like the HNIC, so to speak. Y'all do know what HNIC is, right? The head nigga in charge. Okay, just saying. He had a lot of people that respected him and worked for him. And of course, people that feared him. And rightfully so, because he kind of would, put out orders to do all kind of shit for him. And people would do it because they didn't want to, die. Jiggs had committed crimes in Colorado. He committed crimes in Ohio. He committed crimes in North Carolina. Like, homie was the Dr. Seuss of the crime world. He committed crimes here. He committed crimes there. He committed crimes up north. He committed crimes down south. He committed crimes everywhere. Like, dude was just off. He had an extensive record, but it didn't really all start to kick off until around 2008. See, back in November 2008, he had been indicted on 2 counts of distribution of cocaine. So him and his attorneys talked and they were like, all right, you know what? Just go ahead and plead guilty. This is going to be your first offense. You should get an easy sentence. So that's exactly what he did. He listened to his attorneys because even though he had been out in them streets, doing his thing for a while, this was like the first time that he had gotten caught. Oh, but baby, you only get one first offense and then that's your ass. On May 11th, 2009, he went before Judge Robert Holmes Bell and he got 5 years of incarceration. So he gets sentenced, and they also give him 4 years of supervised release. And this is kind of where he starts to fuck things up because, like I told y'all, you only get one first time offense. Now, mobbers, he gets his sentence and he goes to jail, or goes to prison rather, and then he gets released. Well, December 22nd, 2012 is when he gets this supervised release. But in May of 2014, Jig's probation officer goes to the judge and he's like, listen, Your Honor, he is violating numerous conditions of his supervised release. So on May 30th, 2014, the judge grants the probation officer's request to issue a warrant for Jig's arrest. It took a few days to locate Jig's little slick ass, but on June 2nd, 2014, Jiggs gets arrested again, and he has his attorney, Sean Tilton, to represent him. And Sean tells him, listen, okay, you fucked up a little bit. You probably shouldn't have done anything while on probation, but it's okay. I got you. Just own up to the charges, and I'll get you the best sentence possible. And Jiggs is like, okay, bet. So Jiggs goes to the judge and he admits to the fact that he violated his probation. And on June 12th, 2014, the judge tells him, well, Mr. Morton, we appreciate your honesty, but I'm going to have to revoke your supervised release and you're going to have to do 30 days in jail. And once you do your 30 days, then we'll try this again and give you another supervised release. But you can't be out here acting foolish and get in trouble now. And Jiggs is feeling the punishment. Just 30 days? Cool, that's nothing. I got this. So Jiggs does his 30 days and he gets supervised release again. But of course, it doesn't last long because on September 21st, 2015, the probation officer has now gone back to the judge and was like, okay, now, judge, he still ain't learned his lesson and he's still out here fucking up. I don't know what else to do. We're going to have to lock his ass up again because he's violating these conditions of his supervised release all over again. This time, it's because he's committing federal crimes, state crimes, and local crimes. So Judge Bell tells him, all right, issue another arrest warrant. Now, this is in 2015 that this happens. And this is where stories start to kind of link up. So we're going to put a pin in Jig's supervised release because it's going to make more sense in a minute as to what the fuck was happening and why he needed to go back in. So Jiggs is this big time drug dealer, and he's got all these people that, are up under him, like Jaleel Smith, Josiah Fusay, Randall Bird, Kyrell Burns, and a few others. So most of the guys that he has working for him are doing like little petty crimes, minor thefts, robbing people and all of that. Nothing major yet. Because honestly, that's how things kind of went left. Right around November 16th, 2013, which is around the time that Jiggs had his first violation of probation, things took a very drastic and deadly turn, particularly for Portia Brooks and Aaron Martin. Looking for unique, personalized gifts that stand out? Look no further than Trinity's Treasures, also known as 478 Customs. Listen, it's obvious I'm sipping from one of their incredible tumblers right now, and I can tell you, they're not just functional, they are fabulous. From custom t shirts to stylish trucker hats, dazzling jewelry, and even refurbished Nikes. Trinity's Treasures has something for everyone. Parents, need a thoughtful gift for your kids' teachers or a back to school bag for your kiddos? They've got that covered too. And guess what? They're a verified Houston County vendor. Plus, they offer discounts for military personnel, first responders, and y'all know how I feel about first responders because hello, nurses, educators, schools, nonprofits, and bulk orders too. So text 478 205 9472 or join their Facebook group 478 Customs. Tell them Kay sent you and get ready to be amazed by the most incredible personalized gear. Trinity's Treasures, where your treasures come to life. Portia Lynn Brooks was born December 14th, 1992 in Cincinnati, Ohio, or Norwood, Ohio, if you're like specifying as far as the neighborhood or whatever. She was born to Sharon Brooks and Thomas J. Brooks Jr., and she was the second of four kids by her mom and five by her dad. She had two brothers, Thomas III and Dante, and then she had three sisters, Tia Marie, Victoria, and Shania. Now, I can't figure out which sibling was Thomas's child only, but honestly, it didn't really matter because, they were very, very close. But Portia attended Rockdale Academy from kindergarten through eighth grade. Now, I know that's got to be a private school because I've never seen any school where you go from kindergarten all the way through the eighth grade. Like, I've seen elementary, middle, and then high school. Like, that's what I'm used to, but I guess it's different in Ohio. I don't know. But while she was at Rockdale, she kind of figured out early what she liked to do. Portia loved animals. Like from the third grade, she told herself that she was going to work with animals, maybe, be a veterinarian or something. And because she knew what she wanted to do, she went to her parents and she was like, listen, mommy and daddy, I don't want to go to just any high school. I want to go to the Hughes Center. And see, with this particular high school, Hughes Center, it was a team-based magnet school dedicated to the Padilla philosophy, which is that all students can be successful in a rigorous college preparatory curriculum. So basically, she could take collegiate courses and, career courses or whatever. So she decided that she wanted to focus her career goals at the Cincinnati Zoo Academy. And in order to do that, she had to do a 2-year concentration program, which she did successfully. So she was not only at the Hughes Center and the Zoo Academy, but she interned at the Cincinnati Zoo and Botanical Gardens. Now, she wasn't necessarily working with the animals per se. She worked in parking, but she still managed to find a way to show her love of animals. And her big day came when she graduated in 2011. And on top of graduating, Portia was one of the only two students to earn the Ohio Department of Education Vocational Certificate in Zoo Animal Care and Conservation. I mean, damn. Say that 5 times fast. Do y'all know how hard I am struggling to say that while I am fucked up off this liquor right now? Anyway, after she graduated, she ended up working at a place called Dogtown Cincinnati, which was like a little doggy daycare boarding facility kind of thing. She got a groomer's license and she earned her certification in animal first aid and CPR. The fact that I'm learning that that's a thing, animal CPR and all of that, and y'all know with my career, I see a lot of things, but that is some true dedication because all I can think about is these animals that be licking their asses and stuff. And I'm like, okay, please tell me y'all not putting your mouths on these animals. But I digress. Anyway, so, she knew what she was doing. So while she was working and getting her certifications and everything, she decided, okay, hey, I'm building myself up. It's time for me to move on. So she left Dogtown, Cincinnati, and she ended up going to Red Dog Resort and Spa, which I guess was like the bougie part of, the facilities or whatever. And she continued to grow there. And eventually she became a pet care technician. And being a pet care technician was pretty cool because, she could administer medications and all of that. So, by all accounts, Portia was flourishing in every way, including in the romantic department because she met a fine ass man named Aaron Martin. Aaron Bruce Martin was born March 26th, 1992, also in Ohio. He was born to Patricia Rolfe. Now, there's not much on him. I was trying to, do a deep dive and see what I could find. I did find a social media page for him. The page that I did find, it doesn't look like he's been active on it since like 2022, but I do know that he and Portia met at the Hughes Center where they both went to school. He also had a love for animals. Now, he graduated about a year before she did in 2010, and from there, he went to Cincinnati State. But when they met, instantly they just, were an item. And I was looking at his page and could see, posts where she was telling him that she loved him so much. And it was just so cute. She had posted little things on his page like, baby, I love you. And I'm like, oh, that's so sweet. And on top of that, they shared a love for animals. They actually had two dogs together that they named Adam and Eve, which is so cute. But pretty much, they had been together for a good minute. They made it official in July of 2011, July 7th to be exact, because I remember seeing a post on Facebook where she told him happy anniversary or whatever. On November 7th, she was like, oh, happy 4 month anniversary or some stuff. But, they were a happy and cute couple. And then tragically, 2 years later, it just ended. Now, like I said, Jiggs had his people out there robbing and all kinds of stuff for him. And it just so happens that November 16th, 2013, he had his people out on Carthage Avenue in Norwood, Ohio to do just that, to go rob some people. Three people by the name of Jaleel Smith, Josiah Fusay, and Randall Bird were out looking for a hit. Now, Jaleel Riley Smith was born February 10th, 1993, to George Riley and Yolanda Smith. He had a brother, Cadence, and another brother, DeAndre. And from what I can see, based off of social media and just kind of doing a little bit digging, Jaleel had a very good childhood. Now, his parents weren't together, but his father was very much involved in his life and was very, very much a loving father. And one thing I will give, his father, George, is very supportive. So, how he got into a life of crime is beyond me, but he definitely got into the wrong element. Then there's Josiah Fusay. Josiah Alexis Fusay was born December 19th, 1992, to Gerard and Dominique Fusay. I didn't see much on his family, but yeah, homie definitely has a strong criminal record. Now, see, this proves to me that the stereotype of having a two-parent household or having both parents in your life does not mean that you will necessarily turn out to be a good individual. Because look at Jaleel and Josiah. They both came from households and environments where both parents were still active. Hell, Josiah's parents were married and he still ended up being a hardcore criminal. Oh, and then you have Randall Bird. Now, Randall Darnell Bird the third. Ooh, say that 3 times fast. I couldn't get anything on him. Not a birth certificate, a social media page, nothing, which was extremely strange. Like he had no type of electronic footprint whatsoever. And that drives me bonkers, mobbers, because y'all know I like to go deep diving, but this man was fucking Casper. But honestly, his role was kind of minimal. So, in a sense, I guess it's okay, but still, I wanted to at least get something on him. Anyway, the three of them, Jaleel, Josiah, and Randall, are all kicking it on Carthage Avenue. Meanwhile, Portia and her man are sitting inside their car. What they're doing in there, I'm not exactly sure. That time of night, I'm thinking maybe they were going to get something to eat or, one of them had just gotten off from work or something. But they're sitting in the car, and Jaleel comes up with the idea to go and rob them. And so the three of them approach the car, and Jaleel pulls out his gun and he's yelling at them, get out the car, get out the car. He gets them out through the passenger side of the car and he's demanding them, yeah, run them pockets. So Portia and Aaron, they do what they're asked. They not trying to fight. They not trying to, short them or nothing. And so they empty their pockets, but Jaleel is pissed off because they don't really have anything. So he's going off, man, how y'all ain't got shit? This that bullshit. And Jaleel decides to turn the gun on Aaron and shoots him in the head. Aaron drops, and before Portia can even scream or react, Jaleel shoots her twice in the head. Portia falls to the ground by her man, and Jaleel and the guys just take off. Somebody hears the shots and they call 911. And the 911 caller is like, there's a guy outside the car who looked like he had like he was bleeding from multiple spots. There's a lady in it and she's bleeding. And so the police and the ambulance, they get out there. Portia and Aaron, they're taken to the hospital. Portia fought for 3 days, but it was just too much for her, and ultimately she died. But surprisingly, Aaron survives, although he has permanent brain damage. But because of his survival, he's able to give a description to the police. Now, he didn't know their names, of course, but he gives a very good description. And the photo gets spread all over social media and all over the news. I saw one of the original posts on Instagram, and people are, asking who this man is, all of that, begging people to share the image and bring, Portia's killer to justice. And naturally, Jaleel, Josiah, and Randall, these niggas gotta hide. But while they hiding, Portia's family and Aaron, they're mourning. Portia, this beautiful girl who loved animals and adored her family and her man, she's gone, and they had to say goodbye to her. So on December 7th, 2013, her funeral was held at the Crossroads Community Church in Cincinnati. Okay, so I want y'all to remember that the murder was committed at the end of November of 2013. So for a good minute, Jaleel, Josiah, and Randall, they're doing their thing. They was out and about in the streets and, they hitting licks for Jeremy and handling his business. Meanwhile, Jiggs is back in Michigan at this point and, he's still getting into trouble. He's back in jail because he violated probation again. And then he gets that, other supervised release in 2014. But then 2015 is when shit kind of picks back up again. And it's mainly because all of these niggas that is working for Jigs just kind of started doing their own thing. Remember Josiah? Well, he got into a little bit of beef with this dude named Marlon Gresham. Now, Marlon happened to be the brother of Marquis Gresham, or Marquise Gresham, who was this big basketball star. And Marquise was killed just because he was in the wrong place at the wrong time. He was an innocent bystander up in Muskegon Heights on Wood Street when he was hanging out with some people and he got shot and killed by a stray bullet, which was just, oh, that was so traumatic. So he gets killed on April 23rd, 2014. But luckily, Josiah wasn't connected to Marquise, but he was connected to Marlon, which was Marquise's brother. See what I mean by the biggest damn rabbit hole that Alice in Wonderland ever saw? So it's about a year after Marquise has been killed, and Marlon is hanging out at East Park Manor on August 30th, 2015, about a year after his brother was killed. Josiah was there with his homeboy, Randall, and with his homeboy, Kyrell. Kyrell Burns was born January 27th, 1992, to Louis Jordan. Now, around that time, he got involved. He had two sons and a daughter. Now, I know one of his sons is named KJ because he had his son with his baby mama, Kanisha Rucker, who he had mentioned on Facebook. But he also had a brother, Maurice. Honestly, he didn't have much of an arrest record. I mean, he had like a little marijuana charge in 2010, and he had to do a year and 4 months for that. But other than that, up until this situation, Kyrell was good. So they're all hanging out, and Josiah, Kyrell, and Randall, they're at this park. Now, Randall and Josiah are really tight because they grew up together. They like brothers. So they all hanging out and they see Marlon, and Marlon and Josiah get into it, and Marlon gets shot. Now, luckily, Marlon doesn't die, but three other people got shot as well. One by the name of Thedrick Bryant, who died a day later, and then another man, Deontay Briggs, who was critically wounded along with Marlon. But the irony is that third person that got shot, Randall Byrd III. Yep, he got shot as well. If y'all forgot, Randall was one of the ones that was there the night that Portia and Aaron got shot. And so it was in this moment that I started to think,
No, you done fucked up, right? No, 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 no. You know you done fucked up, right?
nigga, how you shoot your own friend? Like, where they do that at? Like, damn, homie, your friend got you fucked up. But luckily, Randall's wounds weren't so bad. He got treated and then he got released. But he's clearly traumatized. He was like, "Yo, my own fucking best friend shot me." But Jigs, who was, the big dog, bruh's nervous at this point because he's like, okay, the cops is cracking down, they sniffing around here, and yo, what if this nigga snitch? And around this time that this is happening, Jaleel has since been arrested. The police had been investigating Portia's murder for almost like 3 years. They were watching the video footage of the shooting, plus listening to the 911 call, and they get the tip that they need that Jaleel is the one that pulled the trigger. So if you recall, Aaron has now gotten permanent brain damage, but he remembers what Jaleel looked like. So he wasted no time in IDing him. And Jaleel gets arrested and he goes without a fight because, I mean, at this point, what can you really do? But now Jaleel is facing the death penalty. He's being charged with aggravated murder for Portia's murder and attempted murder for shooting Aaron. And the cops is on that ass. They was like, listen here, Jaleel, your ass is going away for a long time. Tell us who was involved with you. We know other people were with you. We saw the tape. Just tell us who they are. But he didn't want to do that. And they could see that there's other people in the video, like they just can't tell who it is. And technically, he's the one that pulled the trigger anyway. So the cops was like, well, all right, do whatever you want to do. If you want to take the blame for it, so be it. And so he's given an attorney, Roger Kirk, and Roger tells him, listen, Jaleel, it's not looking good. I think you need to just take this plea deal because you're facing a death penalty. Oh yeah, Ohio still carries the death penalty. And when Jaleel hears this, he's thinking without any hesitation, cool, I will take that plea deal. And so on August 11th, 2016, he does just that. So, as part of the deal, the death penalty is taken off the table and he's now facing life in prison. So, in court, the victims get a chance to speak and make their impact statements. Portia's mother, Sharon, she's there along with Aaron. And Portia's mom, oh my God, it was so sad when I watched the audios and the videos. She says, he killed me mentally, emotionally. He killed my identity as a mother of three, as a family of four. And so she then points to her daughter's ashes and she said, this is what I have left because of his greed, his selfishness, his complete disregard and disrespect of others in life. This is what I have left. I talk to her, I kiss her, I hold her. But as you can see, I get nothing back except the reality that she's gone. And Jaleel's attorney, asked the judge to consider giving Jaleel parole with his sentence. Oh, baby, when Portia's sister heard that, she got up and she spoke and she said, oh, he want parole. Well, I want my sister back. So let's trade. I have to deal with life without Portia, so he should deal with life without parole. And I mean, she got a point, it's facts. But what was really crazy, what was really crazy was Jaleel was standing there crying his ass off. I mean, sobbing like a bitch that just found out she pregnant by a nigga that she met at the club that she thought was balling but really worked at the gas station part time. That's how hard he was crying. I guess the reality that he was about to go to prison for the rest of his life hit him. And so when he gets the opportunity to talk to the judge, he just keeps saying, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. Like I'm talking about he's slinging snot like Viola Davis in The Help. He's all, I just want to come home someday. And so his attorney, Roger Kirk, says, well, Your Honor, this is something that feels genuine remorse. This is somebody that feels genuine remorse. This is somebody that thinks about this every day. He knows that he can't go back in time and undo what he did. Okay. Okay, so real quick, do y'all remember there was this viral video a while back of this guy passing out when he heard that he was getting life in prison? This is him. Yep. This is Jaleel. So when Judge Barry Kubicki read his sentence to him and said, Jaleel Riley Smith, I sentence you to life in prison without parole, homie passed the fuck out. We collapsed to the ground. Oh, God, forgive me. I'm going to hell for laughing. I'm sorry. But 23 years old, and he's now spending the rest of his life in prison. So now you got Jaleel being carted off to prison, but the story definitely does not end here. Nope. In fact, it's just getting started. I know y'all was sitting there thinking like, "Yo, it's kind of early in the sentence in the episode to be talking about sentencing and all of that." Mm. That's because he ain't the only one getting sentenced. Yes, Jaleel has been caught, but Josiah and Randall, oh, they still out there doing their thing. But now that Jaleel is behind bars, Jigs has even more to worry about. He's worried that Randall is going to say some shit because he got hemmed up on some charges and it was rumored that Randall had snitched. So Jigs tells his boy Josiah, hey, find out what's going on with your boy Randall. Word is he out there running his fucking mouth. And this is Josiah's best friend. They brothers. He definitely don't want to see shit happen to him. So he just tells Jigs, hey, don't worry about it. I'ma holler at him. I'ma see what's up. Turns out Randall hadn't said anything. But, Jigs at this point, he's still watching this nigga. He paranoid. So Josiah is just like, man, shit. I ain't trying to take out my best friend. Like, yo, Jigs, I don't know if I can do that. I don't think he said anything. But Jigs is like, nigga, you gonna either kill him or I'm gonna kill you. And Josiah knows Jigs means business. So he hits up Randall and he was like, hey, listen, bruh, Jigs got this party going on. He want us to come to. And Randall's all for it. A party with bitches and liquor? Hell yeah. Especially after he just got shot. He ready to have some fun. But Josiah knows that it's more than just a party. It's a setup. So when Randall gets there, everybody is acting like it's a nice little kickback. And, Josiah and Kyrell are there. Jigs is there and a few other females. It's these two chicks, Brittany and Shamaria. They're all hanging out and having a good time. But little does Randall know, Josiah and Kyrell are strapped and they ready to complete their assignment, for lack of better words. So Jigs is like, hey man, I need y'all to go hit this lick for me down the block. It needs to be handled ASAP. And Josiah and Kyrell, they all for it. But, Randall seemed a little hesitant. He was like, yo, Jigs, you do know that I just got shot, right? And this nigga over here is the one that shot me. I don't know if I want to be around him because he might accidentally shoot me again and kill my black ass this time. And so, Jigs is letting him know, yeah, I hear you, but this shit need to be done. So Randall, Josiah, Kyrell, they get in the car with the two chicks, Brittany and Shamaria. Now, Brittany and Shamaria were just supposed to drive them to the location. So just a few days prior, on August 30th, 2015, Josiah had, shot Marlon Gresham in that park. And luckily, Marlon didn't die, but that was literally a few days before shit went left with, Randall. So about 5 days later, on September 5th, 2015, Randall, Josiah, and Kyrell all get in the car with Brittany and Shamaria. And at first, honestly, Randall's not really feeling it because he's like, nigga, y'all just shot me a few days ago over at East Park. I ain't trying to get shot again. But they trying to convince him and calm him down. They like, bro, don't trip, we got you. And deep down, Randall's thinking, man, I just want to get this shit over with and get the fuck out of town. And Josiah and Kyrell, they're really in a tight spot, but they ride out and everybody talking shit about what they gonna do and all of that. So the girls pull up to this dark alley, and Darnell and Josiah and Kyrell, of course, they get out and they walking down the alley. And Randall thinks that he's just supposed to, kick down the door and then they're gonna commit the robbery. Now Randall is the only one that's not armed. He's the only one that don't have a gun. But then again, he didn't know, at the time that they had guns either. So they walking down the alley and Randall's ready to, set this thing off when all of a sudden Josiah comes up behind him. Pop, pop, shoots him in the back of the head. And Kyrell is right there firing off shots too. And Josiah ends up running off, but Kyrell is still shooting Randall. Just pop, 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 pop. It did not take long at all for them to get caught and get arrested. Josiah Fusay gets arrested, and he's charged with felony weapons, assault with intent to commit murder, homicide, and second-degree murder. And then Randall, technically he had a warrant out for his arrest as well, but he's dead now. Kyrell gets arrested and he gets charged with murder. And then Brittany and Shamaria, they're facing felony charges for lying to the cops and hiding evidence related to the shootings. So the cops are after all of them and they're doing the whole good cop, bad cop angle. If you notice, I haven't said Jigs' name yet. But they're like, fellas, listen, we want to help you out. We want you to be able to go home at some point. Well, not all of you, because some of you just did some trifling ass shit. But you all got families, y'all got kids. Do the right thing. Don't let this be your downfall. Don't let these niggas get y'all caught up. And then y'all sitting behind bars because they ain't gonna hold you down. And at first, Josiah, he's handling it pretty well. He ain't snitching. But the pressure became way too much. Especially when the cops tell him, Josiah, we don't even want you. Yeah, you did some fucked up shit. You gonna face your crimes. But we really want your boss. We want Morton. And if you don't give him to us, then you gonna die behind them bars getting fucked in the ass. And well, they didn't say that part, but they laid it on pretty thick. And I guess Josiah was like, oh well shit, here you go, shit, what you need to know. And so the cops is like, tell us everything. So Josiah gives them the full rundown. All right, so check this out, right? I've been working for this nigga Jig for years. And he run everything around here. You can't make moves without Jigs being in it. He wanted us to kill Randall because after he got shot, Yo just started moving funny and Jig thought he was gonna snitch. So he told me and Kyrell that we was gonna have to take Yo out. And so that night we hopped in the car and we told Randall that we was about to go hit this lick. It wasn't like I wanted to do it though. Like Randall was my boy. That was one of my best friends, man. But what else can I do? Shit. When it come to Jig, you don't tell him no. And it's fucked up, man. Randall was trying to get out that shit for real. He was talking about getting out of town and all of that. I didn't even want to have to kill him, man. But I had to. Yeah, you did. You did kill him. You definitely did that. Get ready, true crime fans. Join me for a live show like no other. January 17th, 2026, from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. at Collingwood in Charlotte, North Carolina. Queen City, let's go. The Infamous Ones podcast is bringing the chilling world of true crime to life. This free event will delve into a brand new case that will leave you on the edge of your seat. But remember, registration is a must. So click the link in the discussion group or find it on Eventbrite to secure your free ticket. Each guest must register individually, y'all. And for those looking to sip while you listen, go ahead and grab your alcohol wristbands for just $20. Also available on Eventbrite. Purchase in advance to ensure your spot. Plus, meet and greet with your favorite podcast host, Kay, the Texas girl in a Georgia world, baby. So don't miss out on a night filled with drinks, fun, and unforgettable true crime stories. Are you ready for the truth? Mark your calendars, mobbers. January 17th, 2026. See you there. Stay mobbing, y'all. And the investigators are fucking with him. Like they they was like, "Oh, so you just shot your friend like that?" And it reminded me of Harlem Nights with Vera when she was like, "Oh, so now you want to shoot me in my pinky toe." That's what one of the investigators sounded like when he said it. And Joshua is pleading with them and he's just trying to get them to understand, like, yo, I ain't want to do it. I had to. Jig said it had to happen. Lay him down or get laid down. And if it's gonna come down to my life or Randall's, then shit, I'm gonna pick my life. So when we got there, we told him we was gonna kick in the door and we just shot him. And so the cops was like, well, the best way for you to get any type of hope of not being executed is to tell this to a jury and help us nail Jeremy Morton's ass to the wall. And you could tell that, Josiah was a little concerned, but in the end, he agreed. At this point, what does he have to lose? He either gonna die in jail or he gonna die by Jeremy. Not to mention that he was already facing charges for the shooting with Marlon's ass on August 30th. So Monday, November 16th, 2015, Kyrell Burns and Josiah Fusay testified how Jeremy ordered them to kill Randall Byrd or risk being killed themselves. Josiah confirms to the jury that he thinks that Jeremy, aka Jigs, was under the assumption that Randall was going to snitch on him because of the shootout that happened at the park and how, he got caught in the crossfire. Now that they got this information, the police go and arrest Jigs in Kent County, Michigan. When they arrest him, they pull out a lot of cash from his front pants pocket, which, according to Jigs, was like a couple $1,000s that he said belonged to his mama, which we know is a lie. It was more than a couple of thousand, child. It was $8,380 that they pulled out that man's pockets. Damn. Yo, sometimes I might tell it myself, but sometimes I be wondering, like, I know these motherfucking cops keep that shit for themselves. But, they looked at the hotel. He got arrested in a hotel room. So when they were looking through the hotel that they arrested him in, they found plastic baggies that had 14 grams of heroin each in each one of them. So Jiggs now has to face several charges. And I'm talking about felony charges, like connections to the shooting of Randall, conspiracy to commit murder. He's also being charged with delivery and manufacturing of less than 50 grams of heroin. So he's facing drug charges, murder charges, conspiracy charges, accessory after the fact, tampering with evidence, 3 firearms offenses, all of that. And then they hit him with the big one. He gets charged with open murder, first degree murder, and felony firearms. Josiah and Kyrell, they're facing some serious charges and they're kind of, hesitant about testifying. It was like one thing dropping dime to the investigators, but going in front of a grand jury, yeah, I don't know about that one. So the prosecutors, excuse me, offered them a deal. Testify against Jiggs and they would take the death penalty off the table. Hell, they might even go home one day before they too old to remember what hot pocket or what pussy looked like. Anyway, they they were ready to just chance it and go to trial until they heard what kind of time that they were looking at. Once they heard that they was looking at death row, Josiah and Kyrell was like, "Yeah, we ain't trying to die in prison. We'll take the plea deal. I'll testify." Like they was on some New Jack City. I'll testify, even if it means my life. I'll testify. Yeah, that might have went over some of y'all's heads. Listen, New Jack City was that movie. I'm telling you, CMB, we all we got. Sit your $5 ass down before I make change. My A1s, my day ones, y'all know all about New Jack City. Y'all little young bucks, y'all newbies, y'all don't know nothing about that. But yeah, so they decide to testify in exchange for the death penalty being taken off the table and getting the charges dropped from open murder to second degree murder. But Josiah still has to face the charges of assault with intent to murder for the shooting against Marlon Gresham. Now, at this point, Jeremy's been arrested because remember, he kept violating his probation. So the third time that he violated his probation was from the charges that he's now facing. So he can actually, afford a good attorney. Not to say that, none of the court appointed attorneys weren't good, but he can actually afford an attorney that's going to really fight. Because y'all know the stereotype when it comes to these court appointed attorneys. It's just a case to them. They meet you, what, a few minutes before your trial. They try to plead you down so it gives them less work to do. And that's what it was in this case. They have attorneys, but they can't really afford one. So they get court appointed attorneys as far as Josiah and Kyrell. But Jeremy's attorney is Todd Floyd. And he's trying to fight for his client because Jiggs is telling him, look here, I'm not about to spend the rest of my life in prison. You need to figure out how you're going to get me up out of here. So when they go to trial and Josiah and Kyrell are talking about how they didn't have a choice in killing Randall, Jiggs' attorney challenged it and was like, "Hold up. Y'all had every opportunity to walk away. The minute that he said that he wanted to get him killed, y'all could have said no. He never pulled a gun on y'all and told y'all to do that. Did you see a gun?" And they tell him, "Of course not." And so Todd pushes it even more. Okay, so how is it that you feel like it was kill or be killed? He never gave you any reason. But Josiah is clapping back on that ass. He was like, no, he did give us a reason. He said, you either kill him or I'ma kill you. Just because he didn't have a gun on us at the time doesn't mean that he wasn't going to do it. And the jury strongly agreed. All they saw was basically a bunch of thugs that was just out here killing people. So Judge Harrell F. Claus III of the Muskegon County, Michigan Circuit Court, who was over the trial, he tells Jiggs, just because you didn't actually pull a gun, don't think that I don't believe what you're capable of or know what you're capable of. I'm going to have them charge you with murder as well because let's look at your history here. Listen, that man wasn't stupid. He knew that if Jiggs got away with this, he'd be right back out on them streets doing the same shit all over again. And he reminds them, it's pretty obvious to me, based on Burns and Foussey's testimony, that the defendant, Mr. Morton, is the head of this operation, that it was his idea to have Bird killed, that he, in fact, indicated to both Burns and Foussey that Bird had to be killed, and threatened both Burns and Foussey that if they didn't do it, then they would run the risk of being killed. So when Josiah and Kyrell get on the stand and the trial kicks off November 2nd, 2017, Josiah starts spilling it. He tells it all at Kyrell's trial. He tells the jury how they were initially hired by Jiggs to be his security, how he and his best friend Randall gave Jiggs security because he had a lot of beef in the street. They talked about how they sold drugs for him and, helped out where he needed it. And when Randall got shot and he started feeling some type of way, Jiggs got worried that he was going to snitch on him. And he was already dealing with some shit that was going on in the streets. The prosecutor questioned Josiah on the specifics of what happened that night. And Josiah tells them, me and Kyrell and these two chicks, we was talking about going to hit somebody. Randall wasn't really feeling it and he was trying to dip out, but Jiggs told him he had to. Me and Kyrell had to burn us, and so Shamaria drove us over there by Edgewood and we shot him. We shot that nigga like 13 times. The jury hears this and all the other testimony on the murder and everything, and they go off to deliberate. On November 7th, 2017, by 1:07 p.m., the jury had a verdict. Kyrell Burns was found guilty of first-degree murder, premeditated murder, and felony firearm. On December 7th, he was sentenced to 2 years for the weapons charge and life in prison without the possibility of parole for the first-degree premeditated murder. He's now inmate number 778106 at the Lakeland Correctional Facility in Coldwater, Michigan. 2 years later, Josiah then goes to his trial and he has to testify again. And July 19th, 2019, Josiah Alexis Foussey is found guilty as well and sentenced to 2 years for the felony weapons charge, 15 to 37 years for the assault with the intention to commit murder against Marlon Gresham, and 22 to 52 years for homicide and the second degree murder of Randall Byrd III. He then had to go to trial for Portia Brooks' murder and the attempted murder of Aaron Martin in December of 2023. Now, he pled not guilty, but Hamilton County prosecution offered him a plea deal once more, which, at the encouragement of his new attorney, Clyde Bennett, he accepted. So he was sentenced to 18 years on in prison on the charge of involuntary manslaughter and having a firearm while under disability, which basically means he was a felon, wasn't supposed to have a firearm. Luckily for him, his sentence will be concurrent with his Michigan sentence, so he won't do any extra time. And he's now inmate number 100762 at the Ken Ross Correctional Facility in Chippewa County, Michigan, where the earliest he could potentially be released is 2039. And then there's good old Jeremy. Jeremy Darnell Morton, aka Jiggs, goes to trial for the open murder charges. But a mistrial gets declared in December of 2018 after the jury told Judge Timothy Hicks that they were deadlocked. Like they were really struggling trying to determine if he was guilty or not. So he ended up going to trial again and he was found guilty this time and sentenced to 21 years. However, he appealed his sentencing, saying that when he was arrested initially, instead of being taken to Kent County, he was kidnapped. Yes, this man told a judge that he was kidnapped and that's why he needed an appeal. And for whatever reason, his appeal actually got approved and he was granted a new trial. So he's still awaiting retrial to this day. However, while he's awaiting, he's incarcerated at the Federal Correctional Institute in Florence, Colorado, as inmate number 14027. Now, Jaleel is still at the Madison Correctional Institution in Ohio as inmate number A729843. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the ghetto Alice in Wonderland. But no, seriously, that's the story of a bunch of crimes that just it was too much. It spiraled out of control. And now it is time for Fair or Foul, where we look at the justice system to determine if the sentencing given was indeed fair or if it was just some bullshit that's going to have us sitting back saying, what the fuck? All right. So let's go ahead and start with criminal number one, Jaleel Smith, who kicked all of this off. He gets life in prison. I have no sympathy for you whatsoever because robbing is one thing, killing is another. You took a gun and pointed point blank range and shot two people in the head. Thank God Aaron is alive to survive. And deal, but he's got to deal with permanent brain damage from what you did. And you killed Portia. Her family has to suffer knowing that she's gone. You wanted to sit there and cry while you were being sentenced, but you didn't cry when you killed her. You got mad because they didn't have any money. You got mad because you couldn't get what you wanted, and you took off. You didn't get caught right away. You showed no remorse. All that time that you went on living your best life. The fact that you passed the fuck out in court is just entertainment for me. Every time I watched it, I laugh because I'm like, haha, nigga, you getting exactly what the fuck you deserve. Okay? And lucky for you, your ass didn't get that electric chair or get that $42 cocktail that you so rightfully deserve. Like the nerve of you, the audacity, the negroidio of it all. That you sitting there crying and saying how you wish you could take it back. No, you wish you didn't get caught because if you were remorseful, you would have turned yourself in. If you were remorseful, you would have done something different. But you continued to commit crimes after that. You continued to do what you wanted to do. And it wasn't until you got caught that all of a sudden you want to boo hoo. You fucked up your life at 23 years old. You fucked up your life, and now you got to spend the rest of it in prison. So, yeah, enjoy the pokey, homeboy. Then you have Randall Bird III. Like, damn, I wish I had some info on him. Now, this is the man that was killed by his own people. Honestly, I feel kind of bad for him because he was actually trying to get out of the lifestyle and he didn't actually kill anybody. He didn't even want to do the last hit, but he knew that it would piss Jigs off if he didn't. So he had to do it and he ended up losing his life. It was a setup. The minute that he got shot at the party, he knew that he needed to stay the fuck away from them. But yet he got sucked back in. He brought his happy ass around. Like, I know that's your bestie, but your bestie shot you, accident or not. And now look how it ended up for you. Your bestie shot you again. The very same thing that you said you was worried about happening happened. Only this time you dead. Like, I feel bad for him, I really do, because it seems like he was trying to make better for his life, and he even said right before he died, "Alright, let's go ahead and get this shit all the way done with so I can get the fuck out of town." Like, he was actually trying to make the effort to stay away from them. So for him, I do feel sympathy because he didn't deserve to die. He was just pretty much being stupid enough to be hanging around the wrong people from day one. Like, he was hanging around Jigs and Josiah and Jaleel, basically trying to be something he wasn't. Him and Josiah was practically brothers because they grew up together. And when you hanging around the wrong influence, you become a part of that influence. And he should have really made better choices, but I mean, it is what it is. Like, I hate that he had to go out like that. Then you've got Kyrell, who kind of came around towards the end there. Him and Josiah, they took out their own friend, and Kyrell gets life in prison without parole. And now you got three children that don't have their father. Your sons don't have that positive male influence. Your daughter don't have somebody to chase away the boys or, to walk her down the aisle one day. But now you stuck in prison because you emptied a whole fucking clip between you and Josiah. Y'all fucking killed this man, shot him 13 fucking times, all on some kill or be killed. Shit, if you can shoot him 13 times, why not turn the gun on Jigs? Why not go a different route? But somebody that's supposed to be your friend, you shoot and kill? And overkill at that. 13 times? Like 13 shots? What was the reason?
What was the reason?
Cardi, sis, I swear I don't know. One bullet to the back of the head is enough. He was already dead. Like 50 didn't even get shot that many times and he survived. Like, god damn. So yeah, you deserve life in jail. And then you got Josiah. Only towards the end do you start to show remorse when you realize you facing the death penalty. You saying that you didn't want to kill your friend and that, he was like your brother. Like, I would hate to see how you treat your actual relatives because this man was a friend to you and you turned your back on him, or rather he turned his back to you and you shot him. Then you killed him. And you have a tendency to kill a lot of people because you also killed other individuals that didn't have anything to do with you. Friedrich died because he was in the wrong place at the wrong time by your hands. You had beef with Marlon and you tried to kill him and you shot three other people, including your best friend. He was just lucky enough to survive. So at the end of the day, you got lucky as hell with the sentence that you got because you do deserve life in prison. Actually, you deserve that $42 cocktail. You deserve, y'all know I'm an advocate for that shit. You deserve to be laying on somebody's table with all of them drugs pushing through your system, taking you up out this earth slowly but surely. You deserve to have your air supply cut off the same way that you tried to do other people, the same way that you did your quote unquote best friend. You deserve that. So, yeah, I call bullshit on that because the only reason that you got that is because you snitched on the motherfucker that was paying you. You snitched on the nigga that was putting food in your mouth, so to speak. You snitched on the one that you were supposed to be providing security for. You weren't providing security for him. Like I said about Kyrell, y'all could have took this nigga out instead of taking out your friend. You was basically taking care of his dirty work for him so that he could keep his hands clean. If Jiggs wanted Randall dead, he could have did that shit himself. But he didn't because he knew that he would get your gullible ass to do it, and that's exactly what you did. Oh, and then last but not least, you got Jiggs, who wants to be Nino Brown and shit, thinking he this big time drug dealer. You want to be fucking Frank Lucas and all of that shit. But in all actuality, you nothing but a corner boy. In all actuality, the reason why you felt like you needed security is because you was out there fucking over people and you knew that they was coming for your ass. To sit up there and have other people go robbing people for you and all of that to put money in your pocket, but clearly you wouldn't take care of your people, right? Because they turned around and snitched on you when the tough got going. When it came down to it, they snitched on you because they wasn't trying to get caught up in your bullshit. When it came down to it, they snitched on you because they would much rather not spend the rest of their life in prison than protecting your ass. You know how many motherfuckers is real big time that's got big motherfuckers sitting in prison now doing crazy sentences because they protected them? Do you know how many drug dealers and killers and all of that got niggas sitting in prison doing life, doing death row, and still ain't snitched on them? But guess what? They families is taken care of. And I'm not saying I know this firsthand, but I've seen it. Your ass is literally sitting in a correctional facility right now awaiting trial. You only got 21 years because of the fact that you didn't actually pull the trigger. But your ass is the one to set that shit up, so you just as guilty. This is where the system needs to step up and say, hey, you orchestrated all of this. Yes, they carried it out. Yes, they had choices, but you orchestrated this shit. You could have done it yourself, but you chose to pass along to other individuals. And so on that one, I got to call bullshit. I feel like, yes, Josiah pulled the trigger. Yes, Jaleel pulled the trigger. They got a lot more time, but your ass definitely deserves more time too because you're the ringleader behind it. And in essence, it's kind of funny because I'm like, you supposed to be this big ass dude and all of that, but yet and still you got a punk ass sentence, which is like the lightest out of everybody. Well, actually the lightest would be Brittany and Shamaria because they got like slight charges. Brittany, she got charged with lying to a police officer in the investigation of Randall's death. And Shamaria Salazar, she got charged with being an accessory after the fact for Randall's death. I think Brittany was only given probation, and Shamaria, she pled guilty to accessory after the fact and got 5 years. And she ended up doing 3 years, and then she got out on probation earlier this year, actually. She got out June 11th, 2025. So their sentences were light because they didn't have that much involvement. But somehow you still ended up getting a bitch sentence anyway. And I call bullshit on that. That's just what it is. That is all for this week's episode of The Infamous Ones, a true crime podcast. You can follow the show on the various streams on Instagram and TikTok at Infamous One Podcast. And that's a number one, by the way, not spelled out. And you can leave a review there. On X, it's Infamous One Pod, where you can also leave a review. On Facebook, you can join the private discussion group, the Infamous Ones discussion group. Y'all know the deal though. To get in, you got to answer the question. I try to check the group like once a week to let members in, but if I see you ain't answered the questions, I ain't doing it. Okay? That's simple. Y'all know better. So tell your people, get their ish together. But once you in there, come on in and take a seat. Tell us what you sipping on. And, tell your peoples to join the group too. The show streams on multiple streaming services like Odyssey, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and so on. So leave a review. It only takes a few seconds. The reviews matter. And I'm about to read a few of them. The first review comes from Spotify from Mika. I think I said that right. And it's on the Yummy Sandifer episode. Boy, y'all didn't hold back about my guest on that episode. God dang. Y'all definitely told me how y'all felt about that guest. Woo, Jesus. Listen, y'all got me scared to bring another guest on the show. But anyway, okay, so it says, I enjoy the storytelling and the fact that this podcast has covered many stories that no other podcasts have covered. However, the judgment can be too much. The comment about the apple not falling too far from the tree in regard to having multiple baby daddies was unnecessary. There should be more sensitivity when talking about an addict, abuse victim, and teen mother, regardless of mistakes. That's just one example of what I mean. People are multifaceted, and we should discuss them that way. Okay, so first and foremost, thank you for your review. As to my comment, this woman, which was his mother, showed no remorse toward her child dying and seemed unfazed after the fact. So even though she was an addict early on, I made my statements based off of her behavior. Also, statistically, you become a product of your environment without certain guidance. Like I said earlier, there are some cases where people can get out, but in most cases, you become a product of what you're used to. Now, if you grew up in a household where mama had a bunch of uncles around her kids, 9 times out of 10, you're going to do the same. Just as if, a rice paper person teaches their kids to be racially flawed by their actions towards other races, they're probably going to do the same thing. That may have gone over some of y'all's heads. When I say rice paper person, I mean if a white person is showing their child how to be a racist, then 9 times out of 10 that child is going to be a racist or do racist things because this is what they're seeing. So it's all about the environment that you grow up in. And in this situation, lots of people failed Yummy. But I mean, I definitely respect your opinion. Don't get it twisted. I definitely respect your opinion and appreciate it. I want you to keep giving yours the same way that I keep giving mine. It's not me bashing and saying, "Oh, they're a bad person," but I'm going off of the behavior that I see and the behavior that was displayed. The next review comes from Apple Podcasts from Wish No Stars, and it's a 5-star review. It says, "I love it here. I am here from Spotify, but I came here to Apple Podcasts just to leave this review. Started listening after hearing about you through Marah and Taz of Sisters Who Kill. I love the way you tell these stories. It's like talking to my girls. Love the spirit recommendations. After listening, I have started to realize we are clearly unhinged in Cleveland, Ohio. Keep up keep up the good work, and I can't wait to see how big you get in the podcasting world." Now listen, y'all mobbers know how to get to me. Oh, I definitely appreciate that. And as always, thank you and shout out to Mariah and Taz over at Sisters Who Kill. I will always give credit where it's due because they are a major part of the reason why I'm celebrating 2 years today. There's, been so many ups and downs with this podcast. Some moments where I just wanted to quit, moments that I felt embarrassed, situations that just, broke my heart, relationships that, ended, friendships that ended, or I guess you could say podcast friendships that ended, however you want to call it, getting talked about like a dog. But there have been so many highs as well. I mean, my God, a lot has transpired in 2 years. Like, I helped a family get justice in a case from finding information that nobody knew about. I got to do some great collabs. For example, Melanin Mysteries on one of the craziest cases ever with that damn Heather Mac. And even though, I'm no longer a part of BTCC, I always show them love because it's enough room for everybody to eat. And y'all know how I am. I'm all about peace and tranquility. I know this past weekend they had an amazing event, and a lot of people were talking about it. Like, this podcast has connected me to some great people, and I've learned so much. And even when my personal life was in shambles, this podcast really got me through, and so did you, the listeners. So, like, I love y'all so much for that. Okay, real quick, a couple of announcements. Y'all remember Black Friday, which is November 27th, 2025. I'm going to be doing a virtual show. It is going to be a private show, and you have to be in the discussion group in order to have access. So I finally got everything worked out. There's going to be a link that will be provided in the discussion group. It's going to be a little, informal. So it's like a meet and greet where you guys will be able to ask questions and whatnot. And there will be a little miniature case that I'll be presenting. So make sure you have a glass of something, something to sip on, and RSVP in the discussion group to receive your link via email. There will be an invitation event created so you can confirm your attendance through that. I'm going to have that up no later than Saturday, the 25th. Now, January 17th, 2025, or excuse me, 2026, will be the live show at Collingwood in Charlotte, North Carolina. Now, I know a ton of you have registered already. It is a free event. Tickets are free, but you have to register in order to attend. You cannot just show up the day of. I've posted the link for Eventbrite where you can go in and register. So if you have not done so already and you plan to attend the free show, please do so. That link will be up until December 31st. After that, if you have not registered, I can't help you. Okay. Also, there are tickets for the alcohol wristbands that can be purchased at $20 per person, and it gets you in, your drinks or whatever. We're gonna have a great bartender on deck from Tipsy Sips, so please make sure that you purchase your alcohol wristband in advance. Okay. It cannot be purchased the day of. Now, that's according to the venue. However, I'm trying to find a workaround to that because people will wait till the last minute. So I'm trying to convince her to, let me sell them at the door or, something before the show starts. But as of right now, it has to be purchased in advance. Also, I have spots available for sponsorships. The sponsorships for the show start at $50 and up. If interested in sponsorships, please send an email to infamous1pod@gmail.com and I will send you the information. If you would like to promote your business, there is a special for promo that's $30 that you can promote your business through the show. So the show streams at about 2 to 4,000 streams per episode. So that's roughly 2 to 4,000 people that will hear your business. So make sure that you email. I'm kind of still all over the place when it comes to what day to drop the podcast. So what I think I'm going to do is give you guys the opportunity to vote. I like Sundays, but then I kind of like Thursdays too. Like I don't know. It's difficult, but the numbers are affected and I'm trying to monetize. That's the biggest thing right now. So I need y'all to really push it when it comes to these streams. Like I want y'all the mobbers to, really enjoy it as you have been. So go vote. Now, as to the missing ones, the episodes that have been streamed did not get the numbers that I was hoping for. And the amount of research and interviews that go into that just didn't necessarily match or come close to the number of streams. So I think it's going to be something that I do maybe once a month or, something like that. I don't know. Like, I want to continue with it because I really want to help people of color, find their missing ones, find their loved ones. But the numbers were really, really low. That's the only problem. Maybe learning about missing people of color isn't everybody's thing. I don't know. But I do have another show idea coming to mind. So y'all just stay tuned for that. I got to pray on it because if it does happen, it probably won't launch until the beginning of the year. But I'm thinking about it. That's that's all I can say right now is I'm thinking on it. Make sure to check out the website www.mzkaye.com for all of my books and whatnot. I know a few of you placed orders the other day when I had my flash sale, and I just sent out a new batch of orders. So thank you for those that have purchased. I appreciate you. New material is coming next month. My latest is going to be called The Vow, which is a story of a woman that gave her all in her marriage, and when it didn't work, she got even. So, get ready for that. If you want to support the show, or if you're feeling the spirit, meaning that liquor that we've been sipping on, click the link at the bottom of the screen from whatever app you're listening to this episode on and hit listener support to subscribe. Subscriptions start at 99 cents, or you can donate via the Cash App to $infamous1pod. That's $INFAMOUSONEPOD. Donations go toward court documentations, phone calls, interviews, aka JPay, etc. Now, if you have a case that you want to hear more on that you feel has been ignored in the Black community, if you want to inquire about ad space, sponsorship, or if you want to leave a review, send an email to infamous1pod@gmail.com. That's INFAMOUSONEPOD@gmail.com. And once again, people, please share, share, share. This podcast is growing by the day and it means the world. So please keep sharing. Until then, y'all know what it is. I'm your girl, Kay. Thank you for tuning into this bonus episode and celebrating 2 years with your girl. I will see y'all next week with a new episode. Now, let me go ahead and get in and start working on the next one because I know y'all going to be coming for my neck. Stay mobbing, y'all. Peace.
Thank you for listening to this episode of The Infamous Ones, a true crime podcast hosted by Kay. Be sure to like and comment on your favorite podcast platform and subscribe so that you never miss an episode.